The market has been turbulent in reaction to the tariffs, to say the very least. However, Abe Abich, financial advisor, retirement planner, is here to share with you his ideas, but more importantly, encourage you in this time. Now is not the time to take victim mentality. Now is the time to take action and take control. And that's what we're going to talk about here today, Abe, is the idea of action items that people can do, particularly the folks that you work with, those who are close to or already in retirement, who might be looking at their statements lately and freaking out.
Right.
It's understandable. But again, you're here to empower. Let's just get right to it. Obviously, we have seen what the Trump tariffs have been doing to the market. We are reading the headlines. We are hearing the news. Citi's Kate Moore was telling CNBC that it's no time to add risk to your portfolio. Here's what she said.
If you have a portfolio that is fully invested, we're going to sit tight and think about being a medium and long-term investor. But if you have cash that you were looking to deploy, the uncertainty factor, whether it's in bonds or in equities, was too great for us to have a really convicted call. Like, money is made while you're sitting here, and money is made while you're being patient. We want to be thoughtful about when we re-enter the market or we think about adding to risk. But I would also note the uncertainty factor is just starting.
A lot of the stuff that she says there, it sounds good to me, because I'm 45. I'm not sure that that's all kosher for the folks that are late 50s, early 60s, already retired, getting ready to retire. That sentiment that she was relaying, Abe.
Yeah, I think for some people it's a tougher pill to swallow that are 60, 65, 70, as so many of our clients are. However, the large majority of our clients have gotten out in front of this because for years and years we've preached as a firm to get out in front of the ups and downs of the markets, because the markets will continue to go up and down over your lifetime. And there'll be a new president every 4 years, or the same president. There'll be new administrations, and there's going to be wars and tax wars and pandemics and all these things that are going to shake the markets, and the markets are going to go up on a tear. And man, they've been hot for the last 16, 17 years. We've been talking about that. And yes, we've had a decline here lately, and it can happen so quick. I'll never forget it, because I hear this, I hear this from time to time, but we had a gentleman in just over the last few months with about $10 million saved, predominantly in the Mag 5 and Mag 7. This is like Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, Tesla, Nvidia, right? About 10 million in these stocks. He lives in Great Falls and McLean. He's probably down to like 650, 700,000, because all those stocks are down between 25 to 35% as of the time of this recording. That is a big drop. Now, it's a drop on paper. And if he holds on to the stocks long term, they're going to come back probably. Right. But that's a big pill to swallow for a lot of people, which is why a retirement plan really should not be made up of just 5 stocks. And so what I would say, Heather, anyone watching this video podcast right now, is don't be a victim. You can be proactive, control what you can. Don't let the government and don't let everything going on in the news take over your retirement. Put together a plan. We knew the markets and know the markets go up and down. And again, the vast majority of our clients have a lot of protection built into the retirement plan. Pieces of the nest egg typically that are totally principal protected, pieces of the nest egg that are invested, that are tactically managed, that can go into treasuries, that can be, where risk can be reduced, pieces of the portfolio that are buffered, that can only lose money past -20. Those are structured notes that we have implemented for our clients. And then even on the stock and the ETF side, globally diversified ETF portfolios, dividend paying stocks, tech stocks, all of it. We're not in just one basket. We are very well diversified to limit loss on the downside, yet capture as much upside as possible with the least amount of risk. So don't be a victim. Don't panic. Don't freak out. You've probably done the planning in advance, because we've had numerous reviews now with clients since this big recent market drop, and they're in fine shape. And in fact, we're able to move pieces of the portfolio that might have been in treasuries or safe instruments back into the market right now. And that's called buying the dip. It's taking advantage of an opportunity. So you want to have pieces of the portfolio like that are spread out and diversified. And Heather, we've got to keep a long-term perspective. Not a 6-month. This is not a 6-month plan. This is not a 1-year plan. Not a 2-year plan. If you plan on living 10, 15, 20, 30 years, that's the perspective we need to have on our retirement plan. So instead of maybe focusing on the trees right now, take a step back, look at the forest, look at your big picture life plan when it comes to money and your financial plan.
It kind of reminds me, and it's the spring cleaning Marie Kondo in me that's speaking right now. You know, when you go to organize the attic or organize the garage, and it's this huge room, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to even begin to tackle this mess? Don't overwhelm yourself with the idea of all that's in front of you. Instead, just get to work, take action items. And in that space, I know you were saying take a step back, look at the forest. That's a good way to put it, but also take a step in and look at the trees, because thinking about somebody that's in retirement and maybe they hear you say, Abe, we're not talking long-term anymore. I've finished working. I have saved all this money, and now I need that money to work for me. Let's talk action items. Let's talk, again, don't take the victim mentality. What can you do? Let's give people to-dos.
Right. So a lot of our clients will have already taken advantage of this proactive type of planning that we're going to talk about right now. But if you're watching this video and you're not a client, man, please give our office a call, because it's certainly not too late. You know, we're not talking about, you know, a 2008 type of loss right now at this point. And I don't think that's going to happen either. I mean, 2008, we were down 40%, and that can really cause people to panic and to freeze. And that's not the position that we want to be in, which is why you want to have a plan set up proactively in advance before a major downturn can happen. So the first thing you want to be thinking about when you're building out a retirement plan, or if you have a retirement plan, is to avoid large loss. A large loss, in our opinions at Abich, is a negative 20% or greater. And typically a negative 20% or greater loss can take years to recover from. Now, the last year that we had a negative 20 or so in the markets was 2022. But in fact, in 2023 and 2024, the markets ripped right back. They came right back, erased all loss from 2022, and actually came to we just hit all-time highs in the markets in February of 25 here recently, 6 weeks ago or so. Yeah, the S&P hit 6,200, I think. So yeah, those losses from 2022, you know, evaporated quickly because a lot of artificial intelligence investing and technology companies that were in the space that just really took the S&P 500 by storm. In fact, going back to September of 2023, there were just 5 companies, I called them the Mag 5 at that time, the Magnificent 5, that were responsible for nearly 100% of the return in the S&P 500. Those are those companies like Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Tesla, and NVIDIA. Avoid large loss. Put in protection as much as you possibly can. If you've been taking on too much risk, if you're a client of ours, you're not a client of ours, if you've been taking on too much risk, you might want to think about reducing risk, just because this happenstance here in the market here recently goes to show you that markets can quickly turn on a dime. It doesn't happen slowly over the course of a year sometimes in days, as we just saw here in the last week or two. I mean, in 2 trading days, the S&P 500 was down 10%. You get $1 million like in the C fund and the TSP, you're down to 900,000. Just lost $100,000 on paper in 2 days. It can happen quick. Number 1, avoid large loss. Implement protection in your retirement plan as much as possible and as much as it makes sense. Number 2, as you're transitioning into retirement, if you're very close to retirement, you need an income plan. You need this big bucket of money, a nest egg, to be an income generating plan that creates stable income that you can rely on. Think Social Security, think pension. What's the beauty behind income streams like that is no matter what the markets are doing, no matter if they're up 40, down 40, you're going to get that same check every single month for the rest of your life. We need stable income, especially when the markets are down. When the markets are up, you can pick at accounts and you can take money here and there. And if the markets are up 10 or more and you're pulling out 4, it doesn't matter. But if and when the markets are down 10, 15, 20, and you're pulling money out at the same time, it can make matters worse. So you want to try to have your bare minimum expenses met through very stable, predictable income. Finally, number 3, build a tax plan. There are tax opportunities right now. There are 2 of them. Number 1, Roth conversions. If the markets are down, which they are right now, down 10, 15, 20%, depending on the stock or index you're looking at,
Yeah.
If Roth conversions make sense for you, you can be converting dollars over from a traditional IRA into a Roth on sale. So you're essentially paying less tax. If your $100,000 IRA is down to $90K or down to $80,000 and you're converting dollars over, you're converting less dollars over at a sale and discount. And then when the markets come back, all that gain in the Roth is going to be tax-free. So that's pretty cool. Number two, tax loss harvesting.
Okay.
That can be done in a brokerage account, a non-IRA. I call them a non-qualified account. That's like a non-IRA account that you might hold at Fidelity, Schwab, or wherever.
Okay.
If you've got some losers in there right now, which you probably do, and you have a ton of gain in that same account, now might be a great time to tax loss harvest. Sell some winners, offset some losers. If you have $50,000 in recent loss and you have $50,000 of gain, you've got a zero tax bill, right? So look at tax loss harvesting, especially when the markets are down. It could be a good time to just look at that account, maybe exit out of some really great positions, which can offset some losers to rebalance.
Okay.
Good opportunities. Opportunities exist in any environment. You just got to look for them. You got to know how to look for them.
What does Mr. Rogers say? Look for the helpers. Look for the opportunities.
That's right. That's right.
So step 4, educate yourself. That's what Abe and his team at Abich Financial, they are here to do. They're here to empower you with education. Abe wrote this book, The Retirement Mountain, The 7 Steps to Long-Lasting Retirement. Just about 90 pages, a quick Saturday afternoon read to empower you with more of this education. And you were going to say, I think there was one point in the book that you actually wanted to highlight, chapter 4, was it?
Well, there are a couple chapters. We just talked about 3 takeaways: avoiding a large loss, building in protection, creating an income plan, a stable income plan, building a tax plan. Those topics are spelled out in detail in this book, The Retirement Mountain. Step 1, develop a retirement income plan, a roadmap. Step 4, protect your life savings. Step 5, build a tax strategy. It's right there in the book. If you're watching this video podcast and you don't have a copy of this book, call into the office. If you're not a client, you need to set up an appointment to get a copy of the book. If you're a client and you don't have a copy of the book, give us a call, email us, and we'll mail you a copy.
There's also ways for you to purchase the book on Amazon, download a free chapter of the book that's on our website. We have links to the book posted in the show notes of this podcast for you to click. Also links to Abe's website, theretirementkey.com, where you can go to set up an appointment to meet with Abe and his team. As we've been saying from the beginning, don't be a victim, be proactive, take action. You've got these action items now to work on, and you've got Abe and his team, of course, here to help you begin this process. Visit us anytime. It's theretirementkey.com.